Abu Dhabi is the richest emirate in the UAE and a global powerhouse. In 2019 alone, its GDP hit an impressive $231 billion. That's 60% of the UAE's total GDP. And with 95% of the UAE's oil production coming from Abu Dhabi, it's no wonder this place is buzzing. Abu Dhabi isn't just about oil though. It also has the world's 6th largest proven oil reserves and the 7th largest proven natural gas reserves. And it's not resting on its laurels either. It's making big strides in renewable energy like solar and wind power. The Al Nahyan family, the rulers of Abu Dhabi, are also part of the wealth story. They're worth a cool $300 billion, making them one of the world's wealthiest monarchies. They own businesses, properties, sports teams, and art collections, including Manchester City Football Club, stakes in SpaceX and Savage X Fenty, a handful of palaces, and even a Leonardo da Vinci painting, Salvator Mundi. Abu Dhabi isn't just about wealth though, it's a major political player too. It's got the presidency and key positions in the UAE government. It's involved in everything from foreign policy to military operations, maintaining strong relations with international allies, and participating in regional and global organizations. But that was not always the case, and Abu Dhabi started knee-deep in poverty. Let's dive into the origins of Abu Dhabi, starting with the Bani Yas tribe. Back in the 16th century, this Bedouin tribe set up home along the coast. The tribe was like a big family, split into clans, each with its own leaders. The most influential, the Al Nahyan clan, rulers of Abu Dhabi Island. Their lifestyle revolved around the sea, so fishing and pearling were their main gigs. But they were also dab hands at date farming and camel herding. And they weren't just about survival, they were savvy traders too, dealing with distant lands like Oman, Persia, and India. Imagine swapping your house or apartment for a hut made of palm fronds or a tent crafted from goat hair. That's how most folks lived in pre-oil Abu Dhabi. It was a world without electricity, running water, or highways. Instead, life revolved around oil lamps, well water, and getting around on camels or traditional Arab dolls. But the challenges weren't just physical. Basic needs like education, healthcare, and social services were scarce. Literacy rates were low, malnutrition and diseases were common, and women had few rights or opportunities. Earning a living wasn't a walk in the park either. Many turned to the risky pearling industry, braving sharks, storms, and sickness to gather pearls. And after all that, they were still at the mercy of the global market. The demand and price of pearls weren't stable. In the early 20th century, things took a turn for the worse. The invention of cultured pearls in Japan meant natural pearls had lost their monopoly. To make matters worse, the global economic depression hit. The discovery of oil in Abu Dhabi completely altered the trajectory of its history and development. We're going back to 1939 here, when Sheikh Shakhbut bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the ruler at the time, struck a deal with the Trucial Coast Development Oil Company. They later changed their name to the Abu Dhabi Petroleum Company, but their mission remained the same: to explore the Emirates for oil. Fast forward to 1958, and the company made a massive find: a huge offshore oil reserve at a place called Shaif Field. But here's the thing. Even though they knew they were sitting on a gold mine, it wasn't until 1962 that they actually started exporting the oil. And with the start of those exports, Abu Dhabi was on the fast track to unimaginable wealth. Now, let's talk about the man who was instrumental in making the most of this newfound prosperity: Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. In 1966, he became the new ruler of Abu Dhabi, taking over from his brother Sheikh Shakhbut in a peaceful coup. Sheikh Zayed was a visionary. He saw the potential of the oil revenue and had grand plans to modernize and develop Abu Dhabi. In 1971, Sheikh Zayed took an important step in uniting the region. The British were withdrawing, and in response he formed a federation with 6 other emirates: Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Al-Quwain, Ras Al Khaimah, and Fujairah. This federation became what we now know as the United Arab Emirates, aka UAE. Sheikh Zayed didn't just help create the UAE, he became its first president. And he didn't rest on his laurels, he set his sights on improving all aspects of the country: infrastructure, education, healthcare, culture, environment, you name it. Sheikh Zayed has been fondly called the father of the nation. He's seen as a symbol of unity, generosity, and progress. He held the reins until 2004 when he passed away. His legacy continued though, with his son Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan stepping into his shoes as the president of the UAE and the ruler of Abu Dhabi. Imagine a humble community becoming one of the world's wealthiest cities, thanks to the discovery of oil in the late 1950s and early 1960s. This massive influx of black gold transformed the emirate from a simple low-tech society into an economic powerhouse. As the largest oil producer and exporter in the UAE, Abu Dhabi started raking in serious revenue. But the leadership didn't just sit on this pile of cash, they were smart about it. They took this new wealth and channeled it into a range of sectors, including infrastructure, think roads, buildings, bridges, all the stuff that makes a city work. They also pumped money into education and healthcare, understanding that a thriving society needs both knowledge and well-being. Culture and tourism weren't neglected either. They realized that preserving their rich heritage and attracting visitors from around the globe would add another dimension to their growth story. But let's take a step back to 1971, a pivotal year in the history of the region. That was when the UAE was formed, and Abu Dhabi didn't just join this new federation, it led the way. In 1976, the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, ADIA, was founded, which has grown to become one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds. To give you an idea of its scale, its assets are reportedly around $830 billion. The ADIA is like a smart savings account for the emirate. It takes the surplus money from oil revenues and invests it in various markets and sectors around the world. Alright, now it's time to talk about the legacy of Sheikh Zayed. When he passed away in 2004, his son Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan stepped in to fill some pretty big shoes. He became the president of the UAE and the ruler of Abu Dhabi. He took his father's vision and ran with it, introducing reforms and initiatives to boost the emirate's growth and prosperity. One of his big ideas was the Abu Dhabi Economic Vision 2030. It's all about diversification, moving away from heavy reliance on oil and gas, and branching out into other sectors. We're talking about everything from industry to trade and tourism, renewable energy and tech innovation. And then there were some physical changes Sheikh Khalifa oversaw in Abu Dhabi. Take the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque, for example. It's one of the largest and most beautiful mosques in the world, a real testament to Islamic architecture. And then there's the Louvre Abu Dhabi, the first universal museum in the Arab world. It's a cultural hub, home to works of art from all over the globe. And let's not forget Yas Island, a leisure and entertainment destination that hosts the Formula 1 Grand Prix among other events. Another notable project is Masdar City, a planned city aiming to be one of the world's most sustainable. As for Sheikh Khalifa himself, he's made quite a name for himself. With a net worth of around $15 billion, he's considered one of the world's wealthiest monarchs. He's also made Forbes magazine list of the most powerful people in the world, and since then, Abu Dhabi has only been on the rise. What are your thoughts about Abu Dhabi? Let us know in the comments and see you in the next one.